Hello, welcome to Foundation Friday, January 19th, 2018. Getting a message from Facebook. It says low connectivity. But I've never gotten that message before. I'm right here at home in my home office where I have extremely high-speed internet and everything is fine. So let's see if we make it through the recording here. I'll make it short as sweet as I can, depending on how much interaction you guys want. Sharing the rhino of the day, I have this cool little pair of pewter rhinos. So I don't know if you can see that really well in the light, but they're kind of cool, very detailed. And how cool is that? They come as a pair. Cute little rhinos of the day. So today, now I made the mistake of turning on the news this morning, which is really, what am I thinking? For things I do not do first thing in the morning until I get some important things done are check social media, check emails, turn on the news or anything like that that can interfere with my mindset as I got to get through the day. We're entrepreneurs, and good news and the bad news is we're our own boss, and if we got to manage ourselves. If you're managing an employee and you want to get the best out of him, do you stuff his head full of all kinds of tangents and nonsense and negativity before he or she starts to get to work? Why do that to yourself? But man, here comes on the news immediately. They're like, TikTok, the government is shutting down. The Congress, they can't agree. And they're going to shut off the whole government. Not the whole, of course. People got to keep working, right? All the essential. It's not like, call in all the troops that are stationed all over the world and all the battleships that are all over the world and all the submarines because the war is temporarily to halt. Call back all the soldiers because the government is shut down. It's not like that, okay? So all the activities continue. A lot of the essential activities, right? They just don't get their paycheck yet. And they'll get back paid in whenever they solve this problem, which they always do, right? But in the meantime, they're causing themselves all this stress. So I flip the channels, and another channel actually has a little countdown in the corner of the screen. The government is shutting down in this many hours and minutes, and and then all they're showing is all day these sides are going back and forth, and the president and the Congress and the House and the Senate and the this and the that, and can we agree on something? For crying out loud, this government, this federal government that does nothing, this Congress that almost never does anything, is now wasting. And I don't know how long they've been going on with this, but usually they like to wait till right down to the deadline for these things, and sometimes even shut down. I remember they shut down things a couple of years ago for a week or two or something, like public parks. They put up signs, you're not allowed to go into the national parks, or, nonsense. They're always going to come to their senses and fix it and get it going. But they put themselves under this stress. Don't they have better things to do? Don't they have anything to do? They're taking an entire day just to find a way to temporarily solve a crisis that they're creating. And it reminded me that as business owners, we do this. I used to do it all the time. Hello, Kathleen, great seeing you. I used to do it, and I spoke to somebody yesterday. Of course, I never mention any names when I talk about clients or prospects that I talk to, and he called me for one of my 25K and 25-minute strategy sessions that I'm famous for. I'll find any business owner at least $25,000 in a 25-minute conversation. Usually takes a lot less, and I usually find them a lot more. Hey, Lincoln, but in this case, he's got helps people with their business owners with their online marketing, and I won't get into any more, so I won't identify or any come close to identifying who it is. But anyway, we get on the call, and immediately we outline a strategy that he agrees is going to be an investment of $3,000 for him and get a return of $216,000 over the course of the next year. And I'm like, the key is, can you handle that work coming in? Oh, yeah, I can handle it. Well, then, there you go. And then his response was like, I don't know. I got to come up with the money, whatever. Now, I skipped ahead. He had told me at the beginning that he's gotten his business. He's got 20 clients that he does this work for, and he's got $1,000 he makes from each one of them every month. And so he also told me that he recently moved an hour west outside of, even for, he was already like 40 minutes out of the city, the nearest big city that he lives near. He moved another 45 minutes or an hour west so he could, cut down on all the expenses, live in a nice house for like much cheaper, and raise his family. And so he's like, nice place, low expenses, and he's bringing in $20,000 a month, and he's a one-man show, which is why the question I asked, can you handle the more work? He's doing everything himself. And then he tells me, I wonder if I can come up with, so here's the bottom line. There's no wondering if he can come up with $3,000, even if he, exaggerated by double, and he's got $10,000 a month coming in. He's got to be able to find $3,000 or put it on a credit card. I mean, if you're a business owner and you can't do that, there's big problem. But he's causing himself all kinds of stress with a failure to make a decision. So how long is he going to stew over this decision? I'm like, well, let me know and keep me updated on the success and how well it works out. And I have a feeling he'll be like most business owners and never implement this idea, even though it's a very simple one, takes one simple step, and he won't implement it, is my guess. And this happens a lot. So I spoke to another, this was a client this morning, and he's going through a great situation, but there's a lot of stress. It's a breakthrough. His business is at its absolute capacity, another one-man band, business absolute capacity, and he is now a little bit bursting at the seams. Some major mistakes and things are falling through the cracks, and he's like, oh, I did this, and caused a $6,000 problem with that client, shut down his whole thing by mistake, wasn't paying enough attention. Another one, oh, their whole website went down for 2 days because I hit the wrong button, and I fixed it immediately, but it takes 24 to 48 hours for their website to be back up, and oh, this, and I'm like, these falling through the cracks, this bursting at the seams, is because you're at the, we had a whole conversation about it, and I gave him a whole plan to solve this thing, but he's operating under a lot of stress. And so the cure to stress is a bad thing. Can we agree? Like too much stress. I mean, stress can be a good thing, and I've talked about that on a Wisdom Wednesday. Like the right amount of stress is good, right? You got to pull, when you have a bow and arrow, you got to put enough stress on that bow and pull it back to have the arrow go anywhere. But too much stress and it snaps. So too much stress, no good. And so many entrepreneurs put themselves under so much stress, like I see this government doing right now, like, oh, what do we got to solve this big problem, or we're going to shut down. They're all making speeches and proposals and having meetings, whatever. And like, they're basically not getting anything done. They're just keeping things going the way they already are. And they're wasting an entire day or 2 days. And so I see entrepreneurs, and I've been there. I remember the times when money's tight, and I'm spending whole days towards the end of the month or towards the time I got to meet payroll figuring out ways to get money. And I'm figuring out short-term things to do, like, what can I sell on eBay? Or who can I contact that owes me money from years ago and try and get money out of them? Or what can I, short-term try and sell something to somebody and get some money? Or, what am I going to do? Causing a lot of stress, causing a lot of short-term activity that does not have a long-term gain, and this is no way to operate a business. So the cure for this, bottom line, is to put systems into place. And today, thanks to technology, systematizing, outsourcing to either people and or technology is easier than ever before. Set up some software, set up some systems. This is a pain point that business owners reach where their business is expanding and they don't make the move from being a solopreneur to realizing, hey, now I need to do some things differently. Now maybe I need to bring in an assistant or two. Now maybe I need to get some software and set up a system or two. Maybe I need to put some things in place, because if I keep doing everything myself, I'm either going to be lying to myself and saying, oh, gee, I know that thing works, but gee, I'm not sure if I can, splurge for a few grand in order to make 200,000. That's craziness going on in their mind. Or things are actually bursting at the seams and mistakes are happening. Both are a case of the staying as a solo entrepreneur and staying small instead of thinking bigger and saying, how can I expand? How can I grow? But there's a lot of fear with that, right? So, and I understand it. I've been there. I've built many businesses. And business owners will make one of two decisions at this point where their business is growing and they got to actually invest in some systems, some assistants, or a mentor, or a coach, or a board of directors. That's an investment too that big companies do all the time. Big companies hire consultants. I mean, any big company has, hundreds of consultants in all different areas at all times. They know that this is outside, fresh eyes looking in their business. They can bring them ideas from outside their own company, things they would never get from around their industry or other industries even. They know that these people are immune to the politics of their company, and they're unafraid to tell the truth and what they really think and uncover things that are really going on and problems and offer solutions. And so big companies wouldn't even think about operating without outside consultants. And yet small business owners, I remember before I had ever hired I ruined a multi-million-dollar business before I ever had realized I should hire a coach or a consultant. I did everything seat of my pants, everything myself, and business went down the drain. And I learned later, the power of having a coach, a mentor, a consultant. Again, fresh eyes, people who bring a new perspective to guide you through situations. And this is the growing pains if you really decide you want to grow a business. So when you hit this point where, all right, I know I got to grow, but I got to start doing things differently, business owners make one or two choices. And I've consulted with both, and both are fine, but I've heard one side, they say, that's it. I am getting rid of all my guys, getting rid of everything, going back to working from home with just me and my son, and that's it. And I know I won't make a lot of money and won't build a big business, and I'll never really be able to sell it, and I'll never be able to not be there and have it work because I'm going to do all the work, but then I'm taking out all that stress of the growing pains. And on the other side, they say, well, I do want to burst through that and I want to grow, but then I got to realize that every dollar that comes in is no more going into my pocket because I've got to outlay some of it to some assistance or some technology and some system software, something into place so I can scale and grow the business, so I can have other people doing what they're good at, and I can stick to doing what I'm best at, and I can enjoy it. I have the time that I deserve from growing a business. I deserve to have more time, and I deserve to have less stress, and I deserve to have more success. I've got something going here. And a lot of this comes from Michael Gerber, so maybe over the weekend grab your copy. I'm sure you've read The E-Myth or The E-Myth Revisited, but maybe it's time to read it again. Technically, I used to read it, that and Think and Grow Rich. There's a few books I used to read once a year, and then my excuse is a poor one, but I'd given the books, the copies to clients or to somebody and couldn't find them, and I've gotten out of the habit of reading those every year. But the E-Myth, if everyone remembers, Michael Gerber said one thing: when you start a business, start it as if you were starting one of a franchise and you were going to franchise to hundreds of locations. Well, think about how your business runs right now if you're a solopreneur. Could you teach it? If I said right now, I got 50 people that want to learn everything you do. Hey, Alex is here. Hey, Alex. So, Alex, if I said I got 50 people want to duplicate your business, and they'll come in for a weekend, they'll pay you $20,000 a piece, and over the weekend, you just show them step by step everything you do in the business, how you get clients, how you serve the clients, how you fulfill, how you get more, whatever it is. Show them everything. I'll get 50 people, pay you $20,000. You make $1 million for a weekend to sit there in one room and teach 50 people how to do what you do. Most solopreneurs couldn't do that. They're like, well, I can't teach a guy how to work 12, 14 hours a day and how to do 17 different things all by himself. And, I can't do it. You're not running your business like a business. So you're causing stress. You're causing financial stress, causing pressure on the business, pressure points where things are falling through the cracks and bursting at the seams. And we see this as a complete waste of a day in Washington, D.C., I can see right now, because they're not going to come to any agreement until 1 second before the end of the deadline like they always do, or even worse, they'll let the government shut down and then all the pressure will build. This happens in sports too when there's like a strike. They'll avert the strike at the last minute, or there'll actually be a strike and damage everybody and the overall sport and the overall league. This is damaging the federal government, as if that's even possible, as if anyone could have a lower opinion of our ridiculous federal government at this point. And so, is that how you're operating your business? I've been there. I've been in the short term. I need money. I got to come up with something, or I got to make a decision to grow the business, and I just can't, wrap my head around that I need help, or that I don't get the right person to help, or invest in this system, or in this assistant, or in this consultant, or whatever it is. No way to run a business. I've been there. It's not exciting. It's not fun. Very dangerous to the business. It can cause all kinds of physical problems. It can certainly cause all kinds of business problems. and it's really not why you started the business in the first place, is it? So that's the foundational tip for Foundation Friday, is to cure stress, you put systems into place. Ideally, you have a business that's running and that can run while you're not there. That's a business. Otherwise, all you have is a job. And most people have a job, right? And so that's fine. It's like a lot of entrepreneurs, our parents had jobs. And so it's like that's all you really know is the job mentality. And we've all had jobs, even if it's just a paper or McDonald's or something growing up where you worked for somebody and you had a job at some point, or maybe you were in the corporate world and had a job. But if you continue to have that job mentality, not looking to grow the business, not looking to put systems into place, not looking to invest in expansion and think bigger and have a bigger vision and bigger ideas and get all the help you need to go along with that, then you really just have a job, which is fine, but it isn't really a business. Not a business unless it can run while you're not there. And most businesses, small businesses, a lot of them are going through this stress, and we bring it on ourselves. So here's hoping at least maybe you take today, you take the weekend to really think about what you want over the next year, over the next 3 years, 5 years. Where do you want to be in 10 years? Do you still want to be working basically a job where you're self-employed, but you employ yourself as a job? Or do you want to scale a business so that it can grow, so that it can run while you're not there, and so you could even sell it sooner or later, or when you want to retire, or you could, give it to your son, your daughter, or keep it in the family, or whatever. Big difference between a real business and self-employed, a job. That's it for Foundation Friday. Hey, Chris is here. Good seeing you. I don't see any questions, comments, concerns. I know that when I record these videos out here on my terrace outside my office in the middle of the day, for some reason, I don't get a lot of light on me, but hopefully you can see me. Later in the day, for some reason, while the sun's setting, oh, I know what it is. The sun in the morning, the sunrise comes in here, plenty of light. Then the sun goes over the house, which is right now I'm in the shadows, and later in the day when the sun's setting, it'll come back behind the house. So that explains why not a lot of light. But hopefully you can see me, but more importantly, you can hear me. And most importantly of all, you put these words of wisdom, this foundational tip, into use in your own life. Release the stress and enjoy the benefits of running an actual business. Here's hoping you do that, and if you do, I'd love to hear the success. Keep me updated. Let me know in an email or a tweet or a Facebook message or whatever you want to do. I love to celebrate success of other entrepreneurs. Thanks for being here today. I'll be back tomorrow with Success Story Saturday. Hope to see you then.